Hello,
Welcome back.
to Historia, the podcast.
There we go.
Yeah, we finally got it. It only took us like 90-ish episodes. I'm Kylie.
I'm Jamie.
And we are here today to bring you another episode.
Marie Antoinette.
Yes, Madame.
Marie Antoinette.
So if you haven't been listening the last couple weeks, well, first of all, why? Second of all, go do it. Because you want to hear all about the beginning of her life and her childhood, and then the beginning of her reign and her fashionista.
Mm-hmm. It's Women's History Month. Well, it's April now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot.
But
It's always Women's History Month in my book.
You just had to talk about a man.
I cannot believe that I did that. I'm still mad. I still think about that every day.
You know, okay, this is off topic, but it made me think. Have you ever watched Bridgerton?
Mm-mm. I watched the first, 2 episodes of season 1.
I think the queen and in that show is Queen Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah, because her husband in the show, the king, is out there. He's, not okay.
Did they say his name?
I think it's George. Or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, George.
Yeah. I think it's them.
What?
Yeah, because it's the early 1800s that the show takes place.
Can I look it up real quick?
Yeah.
Because it's going to bother me. That is crazy.
Yeah. Because they do, they kind of dive their relationship, but they're doing, a prequel on how they, met and stuff, on Netflix. So that, got me thinking. I was
gosh.
Is that the Charlotte that she was talking about?
Wow, that is fascinating. I did not search that correctly. Hold on. Is it the same in each season? Is it about the same people? Or does it change?
It's the same family. It's the Bridgerton family. Girl,
Okay.
you gotta watch it. Season 3 is coming out next. It's a
know.
book series, too, that it was. My mom used to read them back in, the 80s.
King George. Yeah, it's on my, list to watch, but I'm just really bad at watching shows. Or I'll, start them and I'll forget completely.
The good thing about, Netflix shows is that they're only, 7 or 8 episodes. They're not super long.
Yeah, it's King George III.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch it.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, she's, she plays heavily into it.
Oh my
of
gosh.
just that's the whole just seeing a bunch of the wealthy people get married and stuff. That's her forte.
Oh, I need to watch. Hey, I'm gonna have more free time, and then after 3 weeks from now, so
Yeah.
I'll watch it then. Then I won't have 3 jobs anymore. So, all right. Well, anyway, awesome. Go watch Bridgerton if you haven't watched it. Any other things you recommend? The Last of Us, 10 out of 10.
I have not watched that.
You got it.
I watched.
Like it. You would like it.
I watched the guy on SNL. He was really funny.
The guy.
That plays the main dude.
I already forgot what we were talking about.
Last of Us.
Oh, Pedro Pascal?
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, he was
He's
on
hottie.
SNL. But he was really
He's a good-looking guy, huh?
He was funny.
Harley's crying out of our door right now.
Oh, poor
Yeah,
baby.
Pedro Pascal is the new thing because he's a Mandalorian and he's in The Last of Us. And those are 2 really big shows because Mandalorian just has a new season.
Mm-hmm.
So he's top tier right now.
Damn, he's probably making lots of money.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So, okay, well, let's just get back to, we started talking about Marie Antoinette and then we just got sidetracked.
I don't even know how to segue him into Marie.
Oh, okay, let's see easily. It may have been the last of them, but it is not the last of her. Get it? Because we were talking about this. Oh, let's just.
Oh, God. It's already almost 11 o'clock.
We took a little break to go to Sonic, so we got to get back into business. Let's go. Let's do it.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so last week we discussed Marie's lavish and expensive taste of gambling, clothing, and her summer home at Petit Trianon. So,
And she can't have an heir yet. She hasn't had an heir yet.
she hasn't had an heir yet, but her and Louis are like BFFs.
They actually like each other.
They actually like each other.
Shocking.
Yeah. So there is quite a bit going on during this time. So let's get into part 3. Yeah. Because it's menage.
I don't know. That's all right.
I think it's 3. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Part 3. Let's go. Okay. So
why isn't toi? I'm sorry. Why isn't toi 2? Okay. Sorry. Go back to business.
I don't know French.
sorry.
No, because isn't it a menage trois for like a
yeah,
threesome?
No, it is, but I just feel like I just feel like 2 sounds like trois. It's just okay. Just I'm sorry. My inner thoughts are just escaping out of my brain with uncontrollably.
I'm gonna move forward.
Okay, just like Marie Antoinette would.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this. So Louis's younger siblings were all married and starting to grow families, but the king and the queen, nothing.
Okay.
It would be 8 years that the two would not produce an heir.
Oh my god.
Which is like unheard of.
Yeah.
Because normally, like, as soon as you're married that same night, you're consummating the marriage with people looking right at you as you're doing it.
Yeah, they're like, come on, let's go.
But it just didn't happen. It just was like, meh. But there was, like, reasons for that.
Are you going to tell us?
I will get to it.
Yay!
What was even more shocking for all was that 7 years into their marriage, like, they still hadn't consummate. This was another poor view on Marie Antoinette, as her position as queen was already struggling between being an outsider, not sticking to the norms, and spending a lot of money. Like, this was a bigger insult to the French people that they hadn't consummated their marriage or even provided an heir, and it was 7 years down the road. They're like, what the hell is going on? And all of her family was like starting to notice this too, like all of her siblings, her mom, like her brothers, like the king of pretty much like her brother, who was now like king of like their country, and he was like, this isn't going very good. So they worried about her, and eventually being dismissed that like the new queen, that someone needed to be brought in to pretty much consult them of like, why haven't you had a child yet? You're in your mid-20s. Like,
Yeah.
you don't got that much longer. They didn't know that, but you know, that was like their threat.
Right.
So Marie Antoinette's family was not going to stand for this. They're like, we don't want to be given the bad name that like, oh, it's her fault. So we got to figure this out, and we have to make sure that she needs to produce an heir. They needed to know what the real issue was onto why they couldn't have a child or wouldn't have a child. Like, granted, I know she wanted to do things her way, but of course, like, her family was like, her mother, of course, was like, you have one job and you failed miserably at it right now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even her mother that actually came to see her at one point. It was Marie Antoinette's brother, Joseph II, who decided to go to France and asked the two what the hell was going on. He was like, hey, mom's worried. What's going on here? And he pretty much sat the two down and was like, the counselor in this situation, it was like, hey, tell me about what's going on. So upon arrival and discussing with the two about why they hadn't had a child yet, there is a part of the reason historians are actually still trying to discover to this day. Like, there's many accusations and many assumptions of like what the actual problem is. It is debated between scholars that Louis himself could have had phimosis, which would have made it painful for Louis to even have sex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a I don't think it might have been genetic, but it was a disease of some sort that they believed that he could have had, that he just couldn't do it.
Huh.
It was just way too painful. There's also that he could have had fertility trouble. So it wasn't even Marie, it was him that was having trouble, which was always blamed on the woman, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But in this case, it looked like it was on him in that sense. And it could have been that with all these problems that Marie Antoinette just gave up trying.
Yeah.
That like he couldn't get off. And she's like, I'm not even going to try anymore.
No, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And so she would go to the estate, Petit Trion, and just stay there for like a weekend. And that kind of just over time, that adds up. You're doing it for 7 years. Like, he's going on hunts, trying to be king, doing stuff, doing this, that, like, and even when they tried, it just didn't work out. But I think, like, after that talk, something, like, triggered and, like, switched, that they really, like, sat down and was like, we need to figure out what to do and how we can solve this problem.
Yeah, because at this point, they're in their late 20s. Or she's older than him, right?
No, she's a year younger than him.
So if it's 8 years and he was 18?
Yeah.
So 26-ish?
Yeah. So they're like in their mid-20s.
Yeah, they're at the time where back then, like, they would have already had kids by now, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Nowadays, that's a normal age, but like...
Yeah, you would be like 8 kids deep already.
Yeah, they got to get going.
Yeah, so he pretty much was like, Joseph II was like, hey, you guys got to get started on something, or they really are going to start downing you and they may replace you with one of the other brothers. So I think this scared them in a sense, like, oh, we might lose our standing on the throne if we don't start doing something soon. So I think they had to have figured something out. Like,
yeah,
he probably was like, you need to like insert yourself and stay there.
You need to, like, you know... Yeah, try different things out.
He did something because he encouraged them, and then as he departed, it was not soon after that the queen would be pregnant with their first child.
Wow.
So he did something right.
Let's hope the kid survives.
What a good brother. Giving your sister sex advice.
Yeah. He's like, come on, buddy, here's what you gotta do. He makes a little diagram. This is how it works.
You insert
here
until you feel fulfilled. Sex diagram.
These are the holes.
He's entered this one, not like, this one.
He's like, wait, I think I've been going in the wrong hole this whole time.
Oh, so if I stay in this hole, that will impregnate her?
Yeah. I thought I had to switch it up.
Well, I've been going in the wrong one all along.
Oh my god, we're getting to the point where we're just tired.
So in 1778, Marie Antoinette would have their first daughter, Marie Therese.
Another Marie.
That sounds familiar. Well, it's like a title name.
Yeah.
But if that sounds familiar, remember, her mother is Maria Theresa.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. So soon after, in 1781, Marie Antoinette would give birth to their heir, Louis Joseph.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure they named after her brother because he helped them out.
He's like, you know what? I couldn't be here without you, Joey. I'm gonna name it after you. He's like, oh, I'm glad you figured out what hole. And then Louis like, shh. I was having issues.
My wife was having issues.
Yeah, it was not me. It's all her. She's like, you didn't know what hole to go in?
So another boy would be born soon after in 1785, which was Louis Charles. So their last child would be born pretty quickly after, and that was in 1786, and that was Sophie.
So 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think only
Marie Sophie?
It just said Sophie.
Wow.
I think their eldest was the only one who survived.
Sophie?
No,
I mean,
Therese.
Yeah, you're right. I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so. All right.
Oh, no.
Everyone was surprised to see the queen started to have children. They're like, oh my god. And it was so suddenly, this fueled the press. Not always for good. Of course, they were like, oh my god, you're having children. But they're illegitimate.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you just now having kids now? And now you're having lots of them. Like, this has to be pretty shady.
Yeah.
When in reality, they just were given proper sex ed.
Probably. We don't even talk about everything nowadays. Think about what they talked about back then.
Nada.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even know what conceived a child.
Yeah, they're probably just looking at each other like, oh, I don't know.
I mean, they were 14 and 15.
Yeah.
She probably hadn't even had her period yet.
That's a thing. Yikes.
So they even went as far as describing her as a sexual deviant that would have orgies in her gardens.
Oh.
This was not true.
Oh, okay.
See, this is why you don't use like newspaper sources as sources, because
Yeah.
they're so far-fetched.
Check your sources.
Check your sources. So she was in the eyes of the press as too prudish or too much of a whore. Like, it was never that middle ground. And her reputation only went down from there when she was tied to the affair of the diamond necklace. This was pretty big.
The Hope?
No, this is a different necklace. So it all started with Cardinal Rohan. Rohan was the Grand Almoner of France, also known as an officer of the French court that was supposed to be in charge of charitable acts. So, pretty important guy, especially with their money. Shady. Well, Mr. Rohan got out of favor with Marie Antoinette and her inner circle because this man was trying to put out and she was not for it. He was like, oh, Marie Antoinette, I love you so much. Why don't you have relations with me? And she's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm doing just fine. She's like, you're out. And he's like, but queen, how? Please.
Madame,
please. And she's like, get the fuck out of here, Rohan.
I know the right hole, ma'am. I know how to do it.
So she's like, nah, get out of here. And he's like, oh. So this worried Rohan as it would affect his career and relationship with the royal family. He's like, I cannot have this. I must be in good terms with the queen. Because if he wasn't in good terms with the queen, you better believe that he's not going to be good terms with the king.
Oh, yeah.
Because the king loved his wife very much.
True shit.
So to get back on the queen's good graces, he reached out to a Countess Lamotte. She told him that she was good friends with the queen and that she could schedule a meeting with the two of them, that they could get this all sorted out. He was like, great, I can finally be back into my role in the inner circle. Little did Rohan know that Lamotte was quite the trickster and thief. She scheduled the meeting, but not with the queen. She got someone to dress as the queen and be in poorly lit lighting.
Oh my god. Classic prank.
Literally. Rohan believed he was back in the queen's good graces after this meeting.
Oh my god.
It sounds like a shitty start to a movie.
Yeah, it's like a stupid show.
So Lamotte would reach back out to Rohan not soon after about the queen wanting a necklace that would have 650 diamonds attached to it and weighed at 2,800 carats.
Oh.
This was a very pricey necklace. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was going to sink some damage into the funds of the royals.
I'll say, yeah.
This necklace that the queen previously asked about, like, Louis actually approached her at one point and was like, hey, my love, would you like this necklace? And she's like, no, that's a bit much. She's like, this is very, very nice, but it's very, very expensive and a little out of range. And he was like, okay. No, so she refused it. Rohan agreed. He was like, oh my gosh, she would love this necklace. I have to get this for her. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll figure it out so she can have this necklace. It will be great. And so Lamotte was like, oh my God, great. We'll set it up. It will be fine. And so he went to the jewelers and started setting up a deal to where the necklace would be paid in 4 installments. That's how expensive this necklace was.
Wow.
It was, at this time, the necklace was priced at 1.6 million, I think, livres, whatever their funds are at that time. 1.6 million of that funds at the time. I can't imagine how much it would be now.
Yeah, no.
So,
I don't want to know.
This was not the kind of money that the French monarchy had at the time. There was no way. So, and Rohan was like, oh yeah, well, we got this figured out. Like, she's going to love this. She's really going to appreciate it. So when Rohan was going to present the necklace on February 1st, 1785, Lamotte was nowhere to be found. The necklace was like, I think he had it, because I tried, when I was researching like the whole situation, it didn't say that she like stole the necklace outright. But like, she set up this whole ordeal, caused this whole problem, made them go into significant debt. So I'm like, okay, I can see where she's getting in trouble for this.
Right.
But Rohan also like is the main contributor of this, as he's fucking stupid.
Yeah. But
I don't know if he ever got his hands on the necklace. Like, it didn't say like who actually physically had the necklace. So that was, very curious. So for the next few months, the jewelers actually reached out to Marie Antoinette through letters about the necklace not being paid. But she ignored the letters again and again, now knowing what the man was talking about. She's like, I don't have this necklace. I don't own it. Like, I never set up like any deals of this. So, but the crazy thing is that Rohan forged her signature on the paper to complete the deal for it. So technically that's why he kept reaching out to the queen to be like, hey, you owe us. She's like, I didn't sign anything off for this necklace that I don't have.
Yeah.
Whereas like Rohan is the one who forged it to give it as like a gift or whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't even know how this happened.
Weird.
Lack of security. It wasn't until a guy named Campon who wrote in August to the queen of what had gone on about the purchase of the necklace. So pretty much how he was approached, the money installments, how Rohan was involved with this other lady, and Marie Antoinette was appalled. She was so pissed. She was demanding what was going on. She was like, you're kidding me. She's like, he forged my name to sign on a necklace that I know that we cannot afford.
Right.
Everybody knows that we can't afford. That's why I refused it.
Yeah.
So in discovering what happened, it was then put out that Cardinal Rohan would be found. So she put like a freaking hit out on him almost, of just like, find this douchebag and bring him to me. So it was that same month that the cardinal would be arrested in front of a bunch of courtiers, like in the middle of the halls. They just some guards came out and just like dragged him away, and everybody was like, what the hell is going on?
He's like, oops.
In May the following year, Rohan would be brought to trial, and he started to spill everything. He was like, Madame Lamotte, like Countess Lamotte, had approached me about this, saying that like you were great friends. We actually met about this. And she's like, I met you never. When I kicked you out, I kicked you out. We are not on good terms. You did not see that from my face. And so he was explaining pretty much what went down, and the queen was like, bruh, you were tricked. And so they were like, we need to find Lamotte. And so they did, and they brought her to trial as well. So he was found innocent, actually, like Rohan, even though he was pretty much a huge contributor of all of this, he was found innocent. They're like, okay, you were just tricked by a woman.
Yeah.
But Countess Lamotte, she didn't get off so well. She would be brought into the court, and as punishment for her crime, she was branded with a V, meaning valorous, which is like thief. So she had that like on, it was, I don't know if it was like on her forehead. It was somewhere like publicly shown.
Okay.
So like anytime you looked at her, you would see that branding.
Yeah.
So everything would come out okay in that sense. I think they figured out how to like not continue payments or whatever. But this whole affair and stuff tarnished Marie Antoinette's reputation. Even though like she had nothing to do with it, the press made it believe like she has no control over her court people or her inner circle. Like they can just go around doing stuff like this, pretty much wasting precious French money.
Wow.
So this would completely just slam away anything that she has made towards being queen.
Oh my God.
They're like, this is terrible. She's terrible. So she was now being seen as careless with her fortune and not having trustful representatives in their court. So this was becoming a large tipping point for all commoners and those who wanted to dispose of the monarchy. This is where we start to see a little bit of Napoleon in here. And pretty much all the people that were like, the monarchy isn't successful. It's ruining the society. We need to get out of this feudal system. We need to get out of all of this. We need to broaden our horizons and bring in emperors, which is like the same thing. So 1788 came by, and the royal family was coming head to head with an uprising soon to unfold. The economy was tarnishing, and they needed to find a way to gain public support. It was planned that next year that Louis XVI instructed an Estates General be held, so they could all give their opinion on the problem that were at hand from the highest of power to the lowest. So it was like a giant meeting of everybody, and they pretty much discussed what the problems were and how they could try and find a resolution without there being a revolution. But it was kind of a little too late.
Yeah.
So Marie Antoinette went as far as Jacques Necker to come back to the court to help them with their finances. So Jacques was like he helped pretty much, but I believe he was like let go or something. But she was like, I need your help to help us figure out our finances so we can be successful and keep this monarchy going. And he was like, well, you need to stop purchasing 300 dresses a year. That would help.
Not wrong.
And his work would do good for some time, and this helped a little bit, especially in the public eye. But when the Estates General came around and the king and queen entered, it was all silent in the room. It was far too late for the public to accept them. They had enough. So when all those fancy noble people and the royals came in, it was dead silent. It was when the commoner leader entered the room that the room filled with applause. That says a lot about where you're at.
Wow.
So this was foreshadow of what was to come, pretty much.
Yikes.
So Marie Antoinette would end up leaving early to attend to her son, Louis Joseph, who would shortly pass on June 4th of tuberculosis.
Oh.
So the first heir would die. This would soon be her second child that she had lost so recently, as Sophie had only lived for 11 months.
Oh, wow.
She was grieving a lot during this time. Like, she just was so emotionally unstable because she loved her children to no end.
Yeah.
Like, her children were pretty much what made her happy anymore, because the public eye, they were not doing anything for her. They just hated her, and they had been since she arrived. So when she finally had her children, she cared so much. So when Louis Joseph died and then Sophie, she just was a wreck.
Dang.
And then with this whole revolution thing coming up, like, she was kind of blindsided in that area of that. She didn't know what was going on at the time until it happened. The commoners didn't care about this, of course, because they had their own problems going on. I mean, their families were starving too.
Yeah.
So they started to establish a new way of constituting their country. It would be July 1789 when all started to unravel. With the storming of the Bastille and the assembly passing the August decrees, which made feudalism non-existent now, monarchy was no longer relevant. It was dissembled.
Yikes.
Louis XVI fought hard to keep his throne. Marie Antoinette right by his side. So there was a lot of, she was still grieving for her children, but she's like, I need to step up and be the queen for my husband and be the wife that I am.
Yeah.
So she stood right by him, but it only got worse from there. Eventually, it came to the National Guard taking the family to the Tuileries Palace in Paris. I think that was the original palace that the royal family lived in before they moved to Versailles.
Okay.
So I don't think it was any better of them moving to Paris. I think it was probably worse because they're in Paris.
You're right.
But they were heavily guarded also. The family even tried to escape from Paris to Varennes, but it failed miserably. They couldn't even make it out of the city or even close to moving out of the city. People found out and they were livid. So this only made the public more furious with the king and queen. They're like, oh my God, like, you're trying to escape now from us? Like, how dare you? No, you need to pay your just deserts. So it came to the point where Marie's brother Leopold II, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire at this time, and King Frederick William of Prussia signed the Declaration of Filnitz. So this declaration was made so that if France would cause any harm to the royal family, primarily Marie Antoinette, because that's his sister, they would invade. So they're like, you dare hurt the royal family, we coming for ya. And France was like, I don't give a fuck.
Good luck.
All the people, they're like, bitch, do it.
Oh my God.
We double dog dare ya. So in April 1792, Austria would declare war on France as this revolt was becoming bigger by the day. Because they were, at this point, they were holding them hostage in Paris. Like everybody, they were making sure they were not leaving. And so Austria was like, oh my God, we got to do something about this. Especially like her brother Leopold was like, I got to save my sister as much as I can. Like, and they're not listening.
Yeah.
To us, they're only getting more aggressive, so we're going to invade. It only pissed off the French citizens more when the Brunswick Manifesto was released about the reasons for the invasion. And this was because of Marie Antoinette, because that's his sister. So they're like, oh, fuck, no. He only invaded because of his little dearest sister being the queen that we're upholding because they failed us. This is ridiculous. The French citizens were livid. They did not back down to the worry of the invasion of Austria or Prussia. They raged at their king and queen because they were hiding out and having these two countries be a bully to them. I gotta give it to the French citizens. They were savage.
Yeah.
So on August 10th, a mob stormed through the Tuileries Palace. The royal family hid and the guards were massacred. Savage.
Dang.
Eventually, they were imprisoned in the Tower of the Temple.
Wow.
Yep. The deconstruction of the monarchy only furthered when the French revolts defeated the Prussians at the Battle of Valmy and declared the First French Republic. So they're like, fuck you guys. We are disassembling this monarchy and we're doing it our own way. We don't care if you keep invading because we'll just beat you up. With this, they had to get rid of the guy who once considered himself as king now. So King Louis XVI would be put on trial for treason against the Republic in December of 1792. It would be on January 21st, 1793, that Louis XVI would be found guilty and sentenced to death by guillotine. This was a huge deal. It was done in public and everyone witnessed it.
Oof.
Do you know what a guillotine is?
Is it? It's not losing your head.
It is.
It is. Okay.
So it is, if you don't know
what is it like when you're in that thing?
Kinda. So pretty much if you don't know what a guillotine is, it is a ginormous, super tall, like, box.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
At the very top of it, it has like a blade that's pretty much, it's like diagonal, like a blade. And there's like a string attached to it. And there's like a little hatch thing where you put the head through. And when they pull the rope, the blade comes soaring down and it chops your head off.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they did this publicly. The French are notorious for doing guillotine deaths.
Yeah.
They're notorious for doing them publicly and having a huge party.
Right. It's weird. Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, they literally did this in the middle of town. And the town was just flooded with children, men, women, and kids were hanging up in trees just like watching it. And everybody just cheered that the king was dead.
So weird.
Yeah. It's... Ugh. So Marie was now consumed with more grief with the death of her dear husband.
Of course.
So there was nothing that she could do. She was just imprisoned with her 2 other kids of just like, I have to protect them now as much as I can. Right. And she was allowed around the palace and stuff, but she had no strength to do so. She was pretty much just like, she just stayed in her chambers with her kids. She's like, I'm not leaving here. I'm not leaving my kids. This is getting ridiculous. She's like, I don't know what to do. And as she still had 2 kids remaining, Louis the 17th, he was now a threat because he was the next rightful king to the throne. So they're like, this is no good. We have to make sure that there's no possible heir that can come back and succeed the throne.
Yeah.
We don't want another monarchy. We don't need another heir to make claim that they're the rightful king of France.
Right.
So in July 1793, commissioners came to their room wanting Charles. Marie Antoinette refused, even when they said it was to protect him from those who were trying to abduct him. She knew it was false, and she still refused. She was like, you are not taking my son. I would rather you burn in hell. No, I am staying here in this room with my 2 children. And it wasn't until they threatened that they would kill her only other child, so Marie Therese, that she finally let them. She was like, please don't kill her. She has done nothing. Fine, just make sure he's safe. And they're like, yeah, we'll make sure he's safe. Wink, wink.
Sure.
So, and then came up in the decision on what was now to be done of the widowed queen. They're like, okay, what are we going to do with her? Like, she was a big problem, too. I mean, did you see her with all those portraits around Versailles? Like, what the fuck? So it was not sure if they should let her go or not, but the radical Jacobins made the decision for everybody. They're like, she needs to be put on trial.
Yeah.
And on trial means death.
Of course.
On October 14, 1793, Marie Antoinette would stand on trial and be charged with several crimes, the highest being treason. The decision was made that she would be guillotined. October 16, 1793, Marie Antoinette would be guillotined in public in front of everybody. So I found in her last words, she said, "Pardon, monsieur, I did not do it on purpose."
Oh.
This was towards her stepping on the foot of her executioner. So when she was like brought up, she like stepped on his on his like foot and was like, "Oh, I did not do it on purpose."
Oh.
Yeah.
Up here.
She was so young.
That's crazy.
So this would be the end of the French monarchy and the end of the French icon Marie Antoinette. So to follow with the life of Marie Antoinette, there are a lot of assumptions about her. She did not say, "Let them eat cake." It was nothing more than a fabrication of what the public thought of her. And though she was condemned for what she did, other royals later down the road were in love with how she represented herself and how she did it. Marie Antoinette was by no means perfect in any sense. She had her flaws. She was young when she entered onto the throne and had no guidance on how to be she had guidance of expectations, but to actually grow into that role and to be accepted into it, she did not. It didn't help either that the country she was entering was already a failing one. The expectations were unruly, and Marie Antoinette followed them financially, but not socially. So she spent a lot of money, but she still didn't make friends like that. Mm-hmm. To this day, she is still represented in high fashion between the big skirts, the floral ensembles, and the all-around feminine feel that was introduced by her. She was a woman that changed the fashion world, but not the French's.
Of course.
Marie Antoinette.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was very fascinating.
What an icon.
Probably one of my favorites you've done.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Oh, I loved researching this one. I love the movie with Kirsten Dunst because it was a very interesting film, but I wish they added more to the ending because how they ended the film, spoiler, was they got in their carriage on their way to Paris. And it ended there.
Really?
It didn't even show. Yeah, it didn't show like the whole like part because like it pretty much showed her when she first arrived to France. She was 14. Pretty much all throughout like her reign as queen, the struggles she went through, her children and whatnot. And then when the revolution, like it was just like a background of like what was going on that was serious. And they're like, "Hey, we need to leave Versailles. We got to go to Paris." And she's like, "Okay." So they got in the carriage and they left and the movie ended from there. So
oh my God.
Pretty much like if you didn't know the story, you're like, well, what happened?
What's the movie called?
Marie Antoinette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. I tried watching it myself and I looked on like every single thing that I have, like all of my
streaming services.
Yeah. And it wasn't on there. It used to be, but I think they took them off. I think it was on HBO Max or something, so I might have to find it later because it's a pretty good movie, but like her story is just fascinating.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to her. Plus, yeah, her fashion sense has definitely has made reoccurring comebacks in fashion history since she died. Mm-hmm. But I think it was unfair for them to murder her.
Yeah.
When she was an outsider too, but then again, like that gave them even more fuel to be like, just kill her because she's an outsider.
That's true.
Plus, they also blamed her for like the invasion, which I get, between Austria and Prussia.
Yeah, it was a rough situation.
So if you want to see the continuation of how the French struggled after the revolution, check out my Napoleon Bonaparte episodes.
Yeah, there we go.
See how Nappy Boy decided to input himself into the French world of politics and royalty and deemed himself emperor.
Yeah. Oh, God. Go listen to that. There's like 6 episodes. I think there's like 4.
Yeah, there was like 4 on that one. That one was a hella long one. I think it was like Oh, God, there were so many notes on that one. I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I did that. But yeah, this one was a lot longer than I thought it would be with notes. I just kept writing, and I was like, whoa.
There's a lot to her, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot more than we think.
Oh, for sure. She's great. But yeah, so these next couple weeks, we're going to have some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good series coming up. So I'm excited. Where can you find us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Historia the Podcast. You can email us at historiathepodcast@gmail.com. My allergies are really bad right now, so I'm going to take an allergy pill and go to bed.
Same.
It's going to be great. So thank you all for listening.
We will catch you next week.
All right. Bye.